I planned a surprise dinner for my wife, but the surprise was on me. She was already at that restaurant, with my cousin. I need to tell someone this. Anyone, because keeping it inside is me, and maybe if I say it out loud, it'll feel real enough that I can't lie to anymore. I cheated on my wife. Not once. Not a drunken mistake. I had a full, blown affair with someone from work for 8 months. 8 months of lying, of deleting texts, of showering at the gym before coming home. 8 months of looking Sarah in the eye and telling her I loved her while I was planning my next hotel visit. The thing is, I didn't wake one day and decide to destroy my marriage. That's what I keep telling, like it makes it better. Like the slow slide into betrayal is somehow more forgivable than jumping in headfirst. It started so small. That's what kills me. It started with Emma from the marketing department making me laugh during a boring conference call. Then it was lunch in the break room. Then it was staying late at the office together. Then it was drinks after work. Just the two of us, talking about how our partners didn't understand us. God. I'm such a cliché. Sarah and I had been married for 6 years. Together for 9. She was my college sweetheart. The girl who stayed with me during finals week. Who moved across the country for my job. Who wanted to start a family with me. We had a house in the suburbs. 2 cars. Date nights every Friday. We weren't drowning in passion anymore, but we were solid. Comfortable. And comfortable felt like dying. That's not an excuse. I know that now. But at the time, when Emma would touch my arm and lean in close when she talked. When she'd text me song lyrics at midnight. When she looked at me like I was the most interesting man in the world. I felt alive again. I felt seen. Sarah stopped seeing me years ago. Or that's what I told. She was always tired from her nursing shifts. Always worried about money, even though we were fine. Always talking about the future. About kids, about retirement plans. She stopped laughing at my jokes. Stopped initiating. Stopped looking at me the way she used to. So I stopped trying too. Emma was easy. Emma was fun. Emma didn't ask me to fix the garbage disposal or remember her mom's birthday, or discuss whether we should refinance the mortgage. Emma just wanted me. The fantasy version of me I got to be at the office. Not the guy who left dirty socks on the floor. And forgot to put the toilet seat down. I convinced I deserved this. That I'd earned it. That after years of being a good husband, a faithful husband, I was owed this one thing. This one escape. The affair had rules. We'd never get caught. We'd never leave our partners. It was just for us, something beautiful, and separate from real. We'd meet at a hotel 30 minutes outside town. We'd keep our phones on silent. We'd be careful. I got so good at lying that I started to believe my own stories. Then 2 weeks ago, I decided to do something nice for Sarah. Guilt, probably. Though I didn't see it that way then. I just knew our anniversary was coming. And I'd been distant. And maybe if I reminded her I could still be romantic, she'd look at me the way Emma did. I planned a surprise dinner at Marcello's. This upscale Italian place downtown we'd gone to on our first anniversary. I called ahead, made reservations for 7:30 p.m., requested our old table by the window. I was going to leave work early, go home, tell her to get dressed, that I had a surprise. I felt good about. Like I was balancing everything perfectly. Keeping Emma happy, keeping Sarah happy, keeping happy. I left work at 5:00 p.m. Didn't tell Emma where I was going, just said I had a thing. She pouted but let it go. I drove home rehearsing what I'd say to Sarah. How I'd compliment her dress. How I'd order the she liked. How I'd hold her hand across the table and mean it, for once. But when I got home at 5:30 p.m., Sarah wasn't there. Her car was done. I texted her, "Where are?" She didn't respond. I figured she was running errands, picking groceries, maybe getting her hair done. I took a shower, put on my good suit. The navy one she'd bought me for my birthday. I checked my phone every 30 seconds, 6:15 p.m., no response, 6:30 p.m., nothing, 7:00 p.m., I called her, straight to voicemail. I started to panic. This wasn't like her. Sarah always had her phone on because of the hospital. What if something happened? What if she'd been in an accident? At 7:15 p.m., I got in my car and drove to Marcello's. Maybe she'd somehow found out about the surprise and went early. Maybe she was waiting for me. Maybe I was being paranoid. I parked across the street and walked in through the heavy wooden doors. The hostess smiled at me. Started to say something about my reservation. But I was already scanning the dining room. That's when I saw her. Sarah, my wife. Sitting at our table. The table by the window. The table I'd reserved. She was wearing the black dress I loved, the one that hugged her curves, that all the right places. Her hair was done. Curled the way she used to wear it when we were dating. She was laughing. Actually, head thrown back, eyes sparkling in the candlelight. And sitting across from her, leaning forward, holding her hand across the table, was my cousin Jake. I stood there frozen in the doorway like. The hostess was saying something to me, asking if everything was okay, but I could hear her over the sound of my own heartbeat, pounding in my ears. Jake said something and Sarah laughed again. That laugh. The one I hadn't heard in years. The one I thought she'd forgotten how to make. He was still holding her hand. She wasn't pulling away. My legs moved before my brain caught. I walked toward their table. Weaving between other diners. Bumping into a waiter carrying a tray of drinks. I heard him curse behind me, but I didn't stop. They didn't see me coming. They were too focused on each other. Too wrapped in whatever private joke they were sharing. When I got within 10 feet, I could hear Jake's voice. I've wanted to tell for so long, I just didn't know how. Sarah squeezed his hand. I know, me too, excuse me. My voice came out, barely above a whisper. They both looked. The smiles died on their faces instantly. Sarah's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. She dropped Jake's hand like it had burned her. Jake stood so fast his chair scraped against the floor. Man, this isn't. We were just what? I was shaking now. Just holding hands. Just having dinner at our anniversary restaurant. Just dull shit. Jake. People were staring, the whole restaurant had gone quiet. I didn't care. Sarah found her voice. What are doing here? What am I doing here? I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to me. I made reservations. For us. For our anniversary. This was supposed to be a surprise for Point. Her face did something complicated. Confusion, then realization. Then something that looked almost like pity. Our anniversary is next week. I know that. I wanted to do something early. I wanted to. I trailed off, looking between them. How long? It's not what think. Sarah said quietly. Then tell me what it is. Tell me why my wife is on a date with my cousin. Jake held his hands. We should talk about this somewhere private. No. I was almost shouting now. We're gonna talk about it right here. Right? How? Long. Sarah stood slowly. She looked beautiful. More beautiful than I'd seen her look in years, and she'd gotten dressed for him. Not for me. For him. 3 months. She said softly. 3 months. While I was sneaking around with Emma, Sarah was sneaking around with Jake. My cousin. The guy who'd been at our wedding. Who came to our house for Thanksgiving. Who I played basketball with every other Sunday. Or sleeping with him. It wasn't a question. She didn't deny him. Just looked at me with those tired eyes. I'd stopped noticing somewhere along the way. Are really gonna stand there and judge me? What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not. Her voice was steady now, cold. Did think I didn't notice. The late nights. The new cologne. The way started putting phone face down. The way stopped touching me unless felt guilty about something. My stomach dropped through the floor. I found the hotel receipts 2 months ago. She continued. In jacket pocket when I was taking it to the dry cleaner. I found the text forgot to delete. I know about Emma. The restaurant was completely silent now. Everyone watching our marriage implode in real time. The hostess had disappeared, probably to get the manager. F knew. I said slowly. Why didn't say anything? Because I was trying to figure out if I still cared. She picked her purse. And I realized I don't. I haven't for a while. Jake moved closer to her. Protective. Like he had the right. So what? I looked at him. Just swooped in. Saw an opportunity and took it. It wasn't like that. Jake said. She came to me. She needed someone to talk to. Someone who knew. Someone who could help her understand why. Why what? Why stopped loving her? The words hit like a physical. I never stopped loving her. Sarah made a sound that might have been a laugh. Stopped loving me the day I became boring. The day I stopped being exciting enough, fun enough, pretty enough. Stopped loving me when I became wife instead of girlfriend. That's not true. Then, where were last Thursday? When I was at home waiting for, because I made, favorite dinner, and texted at them saying had to work late. I didn't answer. I'd been at the Marriott with Emma. What about 2 weeks ago? When I asked to come to my mom's birthday dinner, and said we're too tired. But then I saw on Instagram, went to that new brewery with work friends. Emma had posted a photo. I'd made her delete it, but apparently not fast enough. What about last month when I tried to talk to about us? About how disconnected we felt. And told me I was being dramatic and went to watch TV. I remembered that conversation. I'd been annoyed. Wanting to check my phone to see if Emma had texted. Sarah had been crying and I'd barely looked at her. Want to know when I started seeing Jake? Sarah's voice cracked. It was the night of my miscarriage. Everything stopped. What? I was pregnant. 8 weeks. I didn't tell because I wanted to wait until I was sure everything was okay. But it wasn't okay. I started bleeding at work. My friend drove me to the hospital. I called 17 times. Didn't answer. I remembered that day. My phone been off because Emma and I had taken a long lunch. When I finally taken a long lunch, I'd seen the missed calls, and texted Sarah that I was in a meeting. Texted me back 4 hours later, asking if I wanted Thai or Chinese for dinner. Her voice was shaking now. I was in the hospital losing our baby, and were asking about takeout. Sarah, I didn't know. Because didn't answer phone. Because we're with her. She wiped her eyes. Jake drove me home from the hospital. He stayed with me. He held me while I cried. He was there when weren't. And that makes it okay. That makes cheating okay. She stared at me. Cheated first. That's different. How? How is it different? Because I couldn't find the words. Because Emma meant nothing. Because it was just physical. Because I was always gonna stay with Sarah. But saying any of that out loud made it worse. I want a divorce. Sarah said quietly. The word hung in the air between us. Sarah, come on. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can. I already filed the papers. I'll be served next week. I was going to tell this weekend. But I guess now is as good a time as any. She'd already filed. She'd known about Emma for 2 months and she'd already filed for divorce. This wasn't a heat of the moment decision. This was planned. Can stay at Jake's place, she continued. I already packed things. They're in the garage. I changed the locks this morning. Can't kick me out of my own house. It's my house. My parents gave us the down payment, remember? It's in my name. Check the deed. I had nothing to say. No move to make. She'd thought of everything. I'm sorry, Jake said, and he actually sounded like he meant it. I never wanted it to happen this way. But, or not sorry but. He looked at Sarah. The way he looked at her. Like she was precious. Like she mattered. The way I used to look at her. No, he said. I'm not sorry. Sarah picked her coat. Goodbye, Marcus. They walked out together. His hand on the small of her back. Her leaning into him slightly. Natural. Easy. Like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. I stood there in the middle of Marcello's, in my good suit. At our anniversary table, surrounded by strangers who'd just watched my wife leave me for my cousin. The manager approached carefully. Sir, I'm going to have to ask to leave. I left. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could make my hands stop shaking enough to drive. I called Emma. She answered on the first ring. Hey, miss me already? Sarah knows about us. Silence. Emma. How much does she know? Everything. She's filing for divorce. More silence. Then, maybe this is for the best. Maybe now we can actually be together. Something about the way she said it made my run cold. Like she'd been waiting for this. Like this was the outcome she'd wanted all along. I need to see. Pa, I'm actually out with some friends right now. Can we talk tomorrow? Can we talk tomorrow? While my was burning down, she was out with friends. This can't wait, she sighed. Fine. Come over around 11. Brad's working the night shift. Brad. Her husband. The one she'd promised to leave but never did. The one who worked 60-hour weeks to support her, while she spent her afternoons in hotel rooms with me. I drove to Jake's apartment. My stuff was there, just like Sarah said. 4 suitcases and 3 boxes sitting in the parking lot next to his door. She couldn't even be bothered to bring them inside. I lugged everything into Jake's spare bedroom. It smelled like him. Like betrayal. I sat on the bed and pulled out my phone. 7 text from my mom asking what happened. Because someone at the restaurant had recognized us and called her. 12 from my dad saying we needed to talk. 8 from my brother asking if I was okay. 5 from coworkers who'd somehow already heard. 1 from Sarah. I hope find whatever looking for. I hope it makes happy. I hope it makes from Jake. He was too busy with my wife. I opened my conversation with Emma, scrolled back through months of messages. The sweet ones. The dirty ones. The ones where we talked about running away together, starting over, being free. They all felt hollow now. Like reading someone else's story. At 10:45 p.m., I drove to Emma's house. Parked down the street where the neighbors wouldn't see. Walked to her door and knocked quietly. She answered in yoga pants and a tank top. No makeup. Hair in a messy bun. She looked tired. Come in. We need to talk. Those 4 words. Never good. I followed her to the living room. Pictures of her and Brad everywhere. Their wedding photo above the fireplace. Vacation pictures from Hawaii. Christmas cards from relatives. Marcus. I've been thinking. Don't know what I'm going to say. Or going to say this was a mistake. That we got carried away. That love Brad and can't leave him. She bit her lip. I do love Brad. Then why had been sleeping with me for 8 months? Because I was lonely. Because made me feel special. Because it was exciting and new and I convinced it didn't mean anything. Note everything to me. No, it didn't. She said it gently. Like she was explaining something to a child. It meant everything to the fantasy version of that got to be with me. The real is married to Sarah. Or was married to Sarah. The real has a mortgage and responsibilities and a pie. Getting divorced because of pie. Or getting divorced because cheated. That's not on me. So what? Just walk away. Go back to Brad like nothing happened. What else am I supposed to do? Want me to leave my husband for? Want us to get married? Playhouse. We don't even know each other, Marcus. Not really. We know the versions of ourselves we invented in hotel rooms. She was right. I hated that she was right. I think we should end this, she said. Clean break. No contact. Just like that. Just like that. I left without saying goodbye, drove back to Jake's apartment, and sat in the dark spare bedroom, surrounded by my hastily packed. My phone buzzed. Sarah had posted something on Facebook. A photo of her and Jake. She'd changed her relationship status to, "It's complicated." The comments were already rolling in. Friends taking sides. Family members expressing shock. My own mother had commented. I'm so disappointed. I might phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor. Still worked. Still showing me the wreckage I'd caused. This was supposed to be our anniversary week. I was supposed to surprise her with dinner. We were supposed to remember why we fell in love. We were supposed to be happy. Instead, I'm alone in my cousin's apartment. Blocked from my house. Served divorce papers, I haven't even seen yet. Dumped by the woman I weigh my marriage for. And about to become the family pariah. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday. I'd been living in Jake's spare bedroom for 3 weeks. He'd been staying at Sarah's. At my house. In my bed. The irony wasn't lost on me. My lawyer looked at the papers and whistled low. She's going for everything. Everything meant the house, obviously, her car. Half my retirement account. Half my savings. And because I'd committed adultery. Proven and documented with those hotel receipts and text messages, I'd been enough to keep. I wasn't getting alimony. Not that I'd expected it. The good news is there's no kids. No custody battle. My lawyer said. The baby I'd never known about. The 17 missed calls while I was with Emma. That's the good news, I asked. He shrugged. Could be worse. It got worse. Emma's husband Brad found out. Not from her. From someone at work who'd seen us together, and thought Brad should know. He showed at my office on a Thursday afternoon, and punched me in the lobby. Security pulled him off me while I was on the ground, nose bleeding, ears ringing. He was crying. Actually crying. 7 years. He screamed as they dragged him away. We've been married 7 years, and destroyed it in 8 months. I didn't press charges. What was the point? Emma sent me one text. Thanks for ruining my. Then she blocked me. Work became unbearable. HR called me in for a meeting about my inappropriate relationship with a coworker, and my involvement in a physical altercation on company property. They didn't fire me, but they made it clear I should start looking for other opportunities. Emma quit 2 days later. I heard through the office gossip chain that she and Brad were moving to Arizona for a fresh start. Apparently Brad's company had an opening there, and he jumped at the chance to get away from me. My family took sides. My mom wasn't speaking to me. My dad gave me the "I'm not angry, just disappointed" speech that's somehow worse than anger. My brother told me I was and that I deserved everything that was happening. The only person who would talk to me was my sister Amy, and even she couldn't hide her disgust. "Jake feels terrible," she said over coffee one Saturday. "He never meant for this to happen. Jake stole my wife. Jake was there for Sarah, my wife. There's a difference. He's my cousin. And she was wife, past tense. Her away first." Everyone kept saying that. Like being first made it worse. Like my betrayal somehow justified theirs. Did know. I asked Amy about the miscarriage. She nodded slowly. Sarah told me the next day. She made me promise not to tell. Why? Because she said probably been cheating, and she didn't want guilt-fueled sympathy. She said she didn't want to stay with her because of a baby. She wanted to stay because loved her. I did love her. Amy looked at me with something close to pity. No, Marcus. Loved the idea of her. Loved having a wife at home while played around with Emma. Loved the security of marriage without any of the work. That's not fair. And I went to see fair. But started it. I went to see Sarah once. Showed at the house. My house, our house, on a Sunday afternoon. I'd been driving around for hours, not knowing where else to go. And my car just ended in our driveway. Jake answered the door. "She doesn't want to see," he said. "It's my house too." "Not anymore. Papers were finalized yesterday. It's officially hers now. I just want to talk to her." 5 minutes. He considered it. Then called back into the house. "Sarah. Marcus is here." She appeared behind him. She'd her hair. It was shorter now, just above her shoulders. She looked different. Lighter somehow. "What do you want?" "I want to apologize. Really apologize, not just say sorry. I want to know that I understand what I did. That I destroyed us. That I would take it all back if I could." She leaned against the doorframe. "Okay. Apologized. I heard. Is there anything else?" "Don't have anything to say to me." "What do you want me to say, Marcus?" "That I forgive." "I don't, that I understand." "I do, but it doesn't change anything." "That I don't. I'm just, nothing. I feel nothing when I look at. And that's worse than, isn't it?" Jake put his arm around her waist. She let him. "I'm pregnant," she said suddenly. 12 weeks. We wanted to wait to tell people. But I guess should know. The world tilted sideways. "Jake's." My voice sounded. "Course Jake is. We're getting married in the spring. Small ceremony. Family only. Won't be invited. Sarah." "Goodbye, Marcus." She closed the door. I stood there on the porch I'd painted last summer, looking at the door I'd picked out at the house we'd bought together, and realized I'd never be inside it again. My cousin was going to marry my ex-wife. They were going to have a baby. They were going to have the I'd thrown away. I drove back to Jake's apartment, which I was still living in because I couldn't afford my own place yet. After the divorce settlement, I'd have to find somewhere else to go before Jake moved in with Sarah, permanently. Before I became the third wheel in my own tragedy. Work let me go 2 months later. Downsizing, they called it. But everyone knew it was because of the Emma situation. They gave me a severance package and wished me luck. I applied to jobs in other cities, other states, anywhere but here. But my reputation preceded me. Small town, big mouths. Everyone knew the guy who cheated on his wife with a coworker. Lost everything, and got his cousin to step in as replacement. Dating was impossible. Even casual dating apps felt wrong. Who wants to swipe right on the guy who destroyed his own marriage? I went to therapy. My therapist was kind but firm. "We're looking for someone to tell this wasn't fault," she said. "I can't do that. I know it's my fault." "Do. Because every time talk about Sarah and Jake. Make it sound like they betrayed. But they got together after'd already betrayed her. After'd already checked out of marriage. She didn't have to go to my cousin. Where should she have gone? To someone who didn't know. Someone who couldn't understand what she was going through. Jake was her friend too. Don't get to decide who she finds comfort with after abandoned her. After abandoned her. Missed 17 calls while she was having a miscarriage. What would call that? I stopped going to therapy after that session. 6 months later, I moved to Portland. Found a job in sales that paid half what I used to make. Got a studio apartment in a bad part of town. Started over in a city where no one knew my name or my story. I'm alone now. Truly alone in a way I've never been before. My phone doesn't ring anymore. My family doesn't call. I deleted all my social media so I wouldn't have to see pictures of Sarah and Jake. Of their wedding. Of their baby when it arrives. Of the happy they're building in my house. Sometimes late at night, I look at old photos. Me and Sarah on our wedding day. Her in that white dress, looking at me like I was her whole world. Me in my tux, thinking I was the luckiest man alive. We were 23. So young. So sure that love was enough. It wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. I wanted more and I ended with nothing. Emma never reached out. I heard through a mutual connection that she and Brad worked things out. They had a baby last year. A boy. They're happy, apparently. They moved on. Everyone moved on but me. I'm 32 years old and I'm starting over from scratch. No wife. No house. No family who will talk to me. No career. No friends. Just me in a 400 square foot studio with a mattress on the floor and regret that fills every corner. People say time heals all wounds. I don't think that's true. I think time just teaches to live with the scars. To breathe around the pain. To accept that some things can't be fixed. I think about that night at Marcello's a lot. How I walked in expecting to be the hero of my own story. How I thought I could balance it all perfectly. How I actually believed I deserved both Sarah's stability and Emma's excitement. The look on Sarah's face when she saw me. Not anger. Not even. Just resignation. Like she'd been waiting for this moment. Like she'd already mowed our marriage lawn before. I killed it. I destroyed the best thing I ever had because I was bored. Because comfortable felt like dying. Because I wanted to feel alive and to only feel that way with someone new. But I wasn't dead before. I was just too lazy to put in the work. Too selfish to see what I had until it was gone. Sarah was right. I stopped loving her when she stopped being exciting. When she became my wife instead of my girlfriend. When real replaced the fantasy. And now I have neither. No fantasy. No reality. Just this empty studio and the ghost of the man I used to be. I saw them once after I moved. I was back in town for my grandmother's funeral, and they were there. Sarah with a baby bump visible under her dress. Jake with his hand on her back, protective and proud. They sat on the other side of the church. They didn't look at me once. After the service, my mom hugged Sarah. My dad shook Jake's hand. My brother's kids called them Aunt Sarah and Uncle Jake. They'd been absorbed into the family. I'd been erased. That's what I think about now when I can't sleep. Not the affair. Not even the divorce. But that moment at my grandmother's funeral when I realized I'd been replaced. That had gone on without me. That I'd made irrelevant. The worst part isn't that Sarah found someone else. It's that she found someone better. Someone who answers his phone. Someone who shows. Someone who puts her first. The worst part is knowing that I could have been that person. I was supposed to be that person. And I chose not to be. There's no twist ending here. No redemption. No lesson that makes it all worthwhile. I cheated. I lied. I destroyed my marriage. And now, I live with it, every single day in this studio apartment where nobody knows my name. Sometimes I think about reaching out to Sarah. Sending an email. A text. Something to let her know I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. But what would that change? It wouldn't bring back the miscarriage I ignored. It wouldn't erase the hotel rooms with Emma. It wouldn't rewrite the 17 missed calls. And it wouldn't be for her anyway. It would be for me. One more selfish act in a long line of selfish acts. So I don't reach out. I just sit here in the dark and think about that dinner reservation at Marcello's. About the surprise that was supposed to save us. About the surprise that destroyed everything instead. I planned a surprise dinner for my wife, but the surprise was on me. Now I eat dinner alone every night. And the only surprise left is waking each morning. And remembering this is mine now.